given that they were not only bringing back a significant chunk of the core that won the previous two and were also welcoming back a healthy Chris Letang in the lineup after he missed all of the 2017 Stanley Cup run, it seemed like they would at least have a fighting chance to make history. In the end, it did not play out that way for Pittsburgh, eliminated from the second round in the latest postseason rematch with the Capitals, despite a strong second-half finish to the regular season and what turned out to be a ninth consecutive playoff series win when they defeated the Flyers in the first round. This year's Penguins just seemed like one that did not have it the way the previous two did. Golden Standard: how Vegas became the most successful expansion team in sports history. They stumbled through much of the first half due to some depth issues up front and on the blue line. A lot of the defensive shortcomings that were evident at times in the playoffs a year ago were exposed a bit more often because they did not get the same level of goaltending they were able to get a year ago. Matt Murray, in his first year as a full-time starter, went through an up-and-down year on the ice and a devastating year off the ice. His father passed away during the season. Some of those flaws defensively became even more glaring in the second round of the playoffs. The Penguins allowed two third-period leads slip away against the Capitals, including a pivotal Game 5 loss in Washington that the Penguins thought was one of their best games of the playoffs, only to lose because of a couple of blown assignments and mistakes. They came out in Game 6 looking like a team that was playing afraid to make a mistake and never really generated much of a push on a Capitals team that was playing that night without 3 of its top 6 players. When a team with sky-high expectations ends up falling short, it's easy to start playing the blame game, and with this Penguins team there are going to be several players that can easily be pointed to as being the scapegoat. 10 most memorable moments in Penguins-Capitals rivalry. Murray could have been better. Letang had a down year. Phil Kessel, after a career season offensively, was not anywhere near as dynamic in the playoffs as he was over the past 2 years. Derek Brassard, after coming over in a blockbuster pre-deadline trade, struggled with injuries and did not produce the way he was expected to. A lot of the depth scoring that helped guide the team to the last 2 Stanley Cups was non-existent in a second round. If any one of those performances had flipped, Pittsburgh's run might still be going. But do you know what it means when a team has that many what-ifs? It means the other team was simply a little bit better. It happens, now that it has happened to the Penguins for the first time since the 2014-15 season. They can't let a razor-thin margin of defeat against a good Capitals team alter their approach or make them do anything too drastic. The core of the team isn't getting any younger. Sidney Crosby, Yevgeny Malkin, Kessel and Letang all enter next season on the other side of 30, but they are still elite talents that can play at an elite level. They also are not set to lose any free agents of significance, though there might be a trade or two to clear up salary cap space. Connor Sheary, Carl Hagelin, and perhaps finally open a permanent roster spot on the roster for prized prospect Daniel Sprong. Mock Draft 2.0, Sabres hit jackpot, lottery prizes aplenty after no. 1. When it comes to playing the blame game, the two players who might find themselves in the crosshairs the most are Murray and Brassard. Murray's struggles are going to be magnified because the Penguins made the decision to keep him over Marc-Andre Fleury in the expansion draft process. The fact that Murray had a down year and a rough postseason and that Fleury is perhaps the current Conn Smythe Trophy frontrunner only magnifies his struggles. But the Penguins cannot and should not feel any regret over that decision, because they made the only decision they could have made. When all things are equal and you have to choose between two players at the same position, a position only one player can play at a time, you always keep the player that is 10 years younger and $3 million cheaper under the salary cap. Given their career performances to this point, there is every reason to believe that Murray can and will be better next season, and Fleury, who is playing the absolute best hockey of his life, This season for Vegas will probably not be as good as he has been this year. 2018 draft rankings. Dolan, Svechnikov create 1A-1B situation at top class, and then there is Brassard. His mistake was being the big trade deadline acquisition that was supposed to be the missing piece for a Stanley Cup contender. It made already high expectations even higher. When he ended up struggling to find a fit in the lineup and did not provide the secondary scoring that was expected, it made for a tough result, especially given the price the Penguins had to pay to acquire him, trading popular players like Ian Cole and Ryan Reeves, as well as a first-round draft pick and top goalie prospect Philip Gustafsson. But like the goaltending situation, the Penguins should not feel any regret over this move. When a team has a chance to make history and do something that almost no other team in NHL history has ever done, it has to go for it, and the Penguins did. The other thing to keep in mind here is that Brassard has only played 26 games for the Penguins. His 4 points in 12 playoff games are going to be viewed as a disappointment and a big decline from what the Penguins got out of Nick Bonino and Matt Cullen in depth center spots previously, but keep in mind that Bonino had only 3 points through his first 12 playoff games a year ago. Cullen had 5. The Penguins still have Brassard back next season at a discounted salary. It is worth seeing what he is capable of in a healthy, full season with the team. Winning a Stanley Cup requires a perfect confluence of events all happening together. Skill, health, playing well, the right matchups, and yes, luck, all need to fall in place at the same time. Having all of that happen once is a huge accomplishment. The Penguins had it all come together 2 years in a row. Just because it did not happen for a third year in a row does not mean the run is over. A few minor tweaks here and there and some bounce-back performances will have them right back in the mix next season. It may not have been the three-peat, but they will still have a fighting chance to make it 3 and 4 years.